Okay, right. Let's unpack this. We're about to take a deep dive into some really fascinating source material. It's about a project called Te Puna Wairua.
Yes, by TATANKA. And what really jumps out is this unique combination it offers.
Hmm.
It's blending traditional Maori sound healing, really ancient practices, with some very modern scientific takes on brainwave states.
It's quite a mix, not something you see every day.
Not at all.
And so our mission here, I think, is to get beyond just, describing it. We want to understand how they actually weave these things together.
Right. How does it work? How does this fusion create something for, like, deep healing or spiritual connection and transformation, but grounded transformation?
Exactly. So think of this as maybe a shortcut for you, the listener, to grasp how this ancient wisdom is getting revitalized.
Yeah, revitalized and combined with contemporary techniques to offer maybe a different path to well-being, especially now, in our kind of overstimulated world.
That really hits home. What is it about that core idea, this merging of old and new, spirit and science, that grabs you?
Well, straight away, what feels powerful is how it pushes back against that common Western idea that science and spirituality are totally separate buckets.
Right.
The sources make it clear this project sees them as deeply interconnected, like they amplify each other.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's dive in then. The heart of it seems to be taonga puro.
The 𝗑ᗕᗕᗙ, yeah. These are the traditional Maori musical instruments from Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Okay.
The source material mentions specific ones, like the butrino, the kawau, the unguru, and these aren't just, instruments you pick up and play casually. They're steeped in history, often part of ceremonies, healing rituals.
So their significance is much deeper than just, performance.
Way beyond that. They're actually described as vessels of Wairua.
Vessels of spirit.
Exactly.
Oh.
Often made from natural things, wood, bone, designed to resonate with the earth itself. They say they imitate nature's sounds.
Like wind, birds.
Wind, birdsong, water, yeah. And they act as a kind of bridge,
Yeah.
between the human world and the spiritual world.
A bridge made of sound and breath. That's quite an image.
It really is. And in Te Puna Wairua, their use is very specific, very intentional, ceremonial.
Okay.
By using these sounds, the project really anchors the experience in Aotearoa's sacred landscapes. It invites you into that deeper state. The sources talk about how their sound quality, breathy, earthy, lends itself to meditation, aligning your energy, evoking this full-body feeling of
Amana.
spiritual power. Spiritual power, right? And mori, which is like the life force.
So it's less about a tune you follow and more about the resonance, feeling it inside you?
Precisely. It's a felt sense. And the project is really conscious about its roots. It takes what the sources call a clear, decolonial approach.
What does that mean in practice here?
It means Maori sound is absolutely central. It's not just sprinkled on top.
Right, not exotic flavoring.
Exactly. It avoids that kind of exoticization. It actively elevates indigenous ways of knowing, putting them right at the forefront.
That feels really important, respecting and centering the knowledge. Okay, so it's deeply rooted in the ancient, but then there's this other layer you mentioned, the scientific one.
Yes, there is. Woven into the tracks, apparently very subtly, is a continuous binaural beat at 0.5 hertz delta.
Okay, 0.5 hertz, that's very low. And delta waves, let's just quickly refresh that.
Sure. Delta waves are the slowest brain waves we have. Typically, they're 0.5 to 4 hertz.
And we mostly experience those when?
Deepest stages of sleep. That really restorative, dreamless sleep where your brain is truly offline, resting.
Ah, right, the proper recharge sleep.
Exactly. And the sources link that deep state to really crucial stuff: cellular regeneration, trauma recovery, even non-REM dreaming.
Okay.
So by using a beat right at the bottom of that range, 0.5 hertz, the project is intentionally trying to nudge your brain towards that profound state,
Right.
rest and restoration.
How do they weave it in so you don't just, hear a pulsing sound?
That's the key. It's mixed really low. The sources say around mega 28 to mega 30 dBFS, which is very quiet.
Okay. Barely audible, if at all.
The idea is it's felt subconsciously more than heard consciously. It's like a gentle nudge, energetically speaking, not an obvious click or tone. It's meant to encourage brainwave entrainment towards that deep delta state.
And does modern neuroscience back up this idea that this kind of entrainment can have effects?
It does seem to. The material we looked at points to findings suggesting that, entrainment at these very low frequencies can help stabilize things like heart rate, breathing, your autonomic nervous system. And it might even influence brain chemistry, like boosting serotonin, maybe reducing cortisol, the stress hormone.
So, okay, it's not just about feeling relaxed. There could be actual physiological benefits. Stress reduction, supporting the body's healing.
That seems to be the link they're drawing, yes.
And what's so fascinating, as you said before, is how this modern science seems to echo what indigenous cultures have known for ages.
Exactly. That quote really stands out. The brain and spirit are not separate, and sound can be medicine.
It's a convergence, isn't it?
It really is. It
Yeah.
feels less like science is proving the ancient wisdom and more like two different knowledge systems are meeting, finding common ground in sound's power to heal.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the musical style holding all this together is ambient.
Ambient music, yes. The source is called the ideal canvas for this.
Ambient.
Well, think about ambient characteristics. Long drones, field recordings maybe. It often plays a time in a non-linear way. It creates space.
Right. It doesn't demand your attention in the same way melody or rhythm might.
Exactly. That spaciousness is key. It allows for reflection. It can help facilitate those altered states of consciousness the project is aiming for. It lets you just be in the sound.
So you inhabit it rather than follow it.
You got it. And the result is described as this genre-blending audio environment. It feels both ancient, connecting you back to maybe the pre-colonial forests of Aotearoa, and also kind of futuristic, vast, maybe even cosmic.
But it's clearly more than just, nice background sounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
What sets it apart from, say, generic ambient music is its thematic integrity and cultural specificity.
Okay.
The sources mention how the track titles, the visual cues that might come with it, like images of bioluminescent moss or kuru spirals, and even image prompts, they all work together.
To build a world.
Yes, to evoke a full narrative world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's deeply rooted in indigenous cosmologies, placing nature right at the center as this living presence you engage with.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The idea that it's not just a listening experience, but a ceremony or a sonic pilgrimage. How does thinking about it that way change things?
It shifts everything, really. It moves you from being a passive listener to an active participant. You're entering an intentional space. This carefully built soundscape, grounded in sacred tradition and scientific ideas. It invites you to bring a certain mindset. Reverence, openness, like you're starting a journey inward or visiting a sacred place, but sound is your guide.
Okay, so let's pull these threads together. We have the taonga puro, the spirit vessels. We have the subtle delta beat for deep rest. We have the spacious ambient container and this cultural narrative. How does all that function as what the sources are calling a spiritual technology?
Well, it's a spiritual technology, precisely because it's using this specific combination of elements: ancient sacred sound, a scientifically informed frequency, and immersive structure as a deliberate tool.
Right, a tool.
A tool designed to facilitate specific profound outcomes in you, the listener. It's using sound in a very sophisticated way for spiritual, emotional, maybe even physical transformation.
And those intended outcomes, what are they hoping you, the listener, will experience?
The aim described is, well, it's deep, a deeply immersive and transformative journey. They talk about potential outcomes like deep healing, spiritual reawakening, maybe physical regeneration helped by that delta state, trauma recovery, and just a real profound sense of calm, of sacred presence.
Wow. In a world that's constantly, pulling at us, demanding attention, this sounds like a very deliberate counter-movement.
Really does feel like that, like an offering, a return to source, as the material puts it, a chance to step out of the noise and tune back into those deeper rhythms of life, earth, and spirit.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? This deep dive into Te Puna Wairua, it really shows the power that can emerge, right? When we actually respect and integrate ancient indigenous wisdom with modern science, especially using sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really hammers home that sound isn't just something we hear. It's something we experience with our whole being. It can be a pathway to profound healing and connection.
And it sets a really interesting precedent, doesn't it, for how ancestral knowledge can live and breathe in today's world, not by being watered down or appropriated, but by being honored, elevated, keeping its sacred core intact.
Yeah. And the sources leave us with that simple but really potent thought. When we listen with spirit, we heal with sound.
Which really brings up a final question, doesn't it, for all of us listening. In our busy, modern, often quite disconnected lives, what does it actually mean to listen with spirit? How might just shifting how we listen, not just hearing noise, but really listening deeply, with intention, with openness, like this project asks, how might that change our own healing, our own connection to the world? Definitely something to ponder.